first thing Turkey planned to do was challenge Greece itself in any way. And it has indeed succeeded in some way, since many have been voluntarily or involuntarily involved in its prosecution of evil. But people started asking themselves, how and why so many Greek researchers and analysts were founded in support of Turkey's plans. Why did they start to mock both the concept of the fatherland and its institutions in the service of the plans of Turkey? In a democracy, criticism and counterarguments are reasonably accepted. But for some people, using such poor reviews, denigrating anything of Greek origin turned out to be at least doubtful. Condemning any form of Greek policy that defends the territory and sovereignty of the country raises strong worries and doubts. Eventually, the reactions started to emerge. It was not easy to deal with the concerns immediately, but at some point there were revelations. It had to do with finding an international monetary fund, which seemed to be operating for research purposes in universities. But that fund was actually managed by the Turkish intelligence unit MIT. Other research has shown that the recipients are bizarre people who pride themselves on being anti-nationalists and proud of doing the dirty work of the Turks. They were planning to work against Greece and especially what it represents for democracy. They were nothing more than self-identified pacifists, leftovers from obsessive left-wing political groups. These groups, after being financed by dirty funds, were used at the forefront of all efforts that degrade the country and the nation. The Turkish MIT's plan for Greece was therefore to promote the funding of research institutions, supposedly for reconciliation and social research. But in reality, funding ended up in the pockets of enthusiastic leftist critics, provided they turn against Greece itself, through so-called scientific studies/complaints. In other words, they found fools willing useful for the Turks, who, in exchange for compensation for an alleged investigation, would question and divert their own homeland, namely Greece. In reality, they are the paid vehicles of Turkish propaganda. They mostly come from cyberspace, broadcasting fake news. Acting as agents of Turkey, funded left-wing commentators take the reins of information by interfering and humiliating both the government and the opposition. They advance their goals by attacking all political parties, and by insulting Greece's political system. One of the bad objectives is, through the war against political parties, to undermine the faith of Greek citizens in the entire political system. On the other hand, the frequent repetition of specific news essentially results in a hybrid war against Greece. It includes, besides the usual fake military news, also disinformation and propaganda operations, altering the opinions and morale of the citizens, ultimately forming the Greek public opinion according to its objectives. However, MIT advises its agents journalists to avoid reporting on Turkey's dire financial situation and its galloping inflation. Do not comment on the failures of Turkey's foreign policy, and its ongoing conflicts with all Westerners. Nor say anything about his closure of companies there and growing unemployment, nor about the failures of their Turkish army where he intervenes, internal and external. Not to mention the coffins of the soldiers who, due to state failures, are returning to Turkey, with an ever-increasing number. Also write anything, if possible, about the disorder of the Turkish army after the supposed coup and the withdrawal of so many of its experienced cadres. In conclusion, some paid leftist activists are consciously the fifth phalanx of the Turkish MIT. A question arises as to when the rest uninfected Greek left people will react. When these people will realize that the outer forces have turned them into useful fools of the Turkish system? When will the majority of pure left journalists, who have not been involved in such a dirty game, separate their position and expose them? For their own good.